No one has time for a long intro. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the third and final episode of What Can I Do with $20 worth of grocery outlet groceries. In this final video, I'm going to show you everything I made and how I made it. But in case you don't want to watch all of that, let's take a look right now at everything I made.
First up, a stuffing mix, chicken, and green bean casserole with homemade cream of soup. Next, fried chicken, pierogies, and some vinaigrette-based coleslaw. Third for the week, we have a chicken egg roll in a bowl that is a rice-based stir fry with cabbage. And then I made a very large pot of green chicken chili. I ended up freezing a lot of that and turning some of it into quesadillas. And last but absolutely not least, Nana's favorite chicken paprikash, a creamy chicken and pasta dish made with sour cream and onions. For my first meal, I'm using this traditional stuffing mix to make a green bean stuffing chicken casserole thing. And I look at the back of this box and realize that I actually have to put ingredients in it. They do not come in the box. I was annoyed by that, but here we are with our ingredients. I did not plan to include some onions and some celery, and we're putting in what's basically just dried bread into that pan. I'm now going to add a bit of the stock I made from that chicken earlier. You see why that was important. And we're also going to use that stock from the chicken to make the cream of soup that goes on top of it. So once I just warm up the green beans, layer them there on top of the stuffing. I think that's what I'm trying to show you. Yep, there it is. I'm going to make a quick roux and combine that roux, seen here, with a little bit of the stock. So as I said, I made a roux. And now I added some of the stock to that, and I made sort of a little bit of a gravy. I decided that it needs some creaminess, so I'm gonna go ahead and use one heaping spoonful of my precious sour cream. And then I'm just gonna add in slightly less than half of the chicken that I made earlier that was shredded and is also the chicken that created the broth. Also, if you could see how I have my phone attached to my cabinet door so that I can get this shot, you would be really impressed. All right, here is dinner one. It is a chicken stuffing and green bean casserole. And the internet says that I need to eat it on camera to tell you how it is. So I'm gonna burn my mouth and do that. Here we go. Oh, it's really hot. Okay, looks like that. I'm gonna just go over here and blow. You should really always blow off camera. I think that's probably solid advice. Okay. Well, it took too big of a bite to talk. That is really good. I definitely got 4 portions out of it. You can see over there. There's half of it left, and I have 2 portions out. And it used like 2 pieces of chicken. It's really good. Recommend. I'm still a bit salty about the stuffing mix, but 8 out of 10. All right, it's time to make my next meal, which is the fake buttermilk soaked fried chicken. You'll recall that I used sour cream and apple cider vinegar to brine this. All I need to do is roll it around in a dredge, and then I'm going to refrigerate it for a few minutes before I fry it. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to actually shallow fry it or if I'm gonna try to air fry it. I don't know if that's possible, we'll see. But this is a dredge. For me, I use equal parts flour and cornstarch. You can use literally anything. Flour, just flour by itself, breadcrumbs. I was going to use the ground up second half of the stuffing mix, but I decided that since I ate the stuffing meal for a while, which was very good,
I didn't want that flavor again, so I'm just using some dried spices from my spice rack. This is garlic, black pepper, paprika, and salt. None of this is necessary if all that you have is the chicken that is soaked in the sour cream and some sort of flour. You'll be good. A little bit of salt will be helpful. So I'm just going to stir this around, stir, stir, stir. And then I'm just going to roll. Let's stir better than that. Just going to roll the pieces of chicken in this spice-filled flour mixture and put it in the fridge. So I'll just show you one. Soaked chicken. Roll, roll, roll. It's good to keep one hand clean, even if you're not recording a video and need that hand to press stop on the phone camera, but so you can do anything else. And also, this ends up happening. I know you're supposed to do like wet hand, dry hand. I've never really mastered that. Plus, I like having this in case the dog needs anything or the phone rings or I need to do this. There you have it, the dredged chicken, which will go in either a shallow, about this much amount of oil in a cast iron skillet, or I might put it in the air fryer. I'm leaning towards the air fryer at this time. We'll see what I decide to do. I'm not going to film me frying chicken because that's very splattery. I'll show you the finished result once it is cooked. And these will be served up with the pierogies. All right, so this is a fun camera angle and you're gonna see why in just a second. But I am going to first say that this is real life and this is lunch. So as I'm making the pierogies for the fried chicken that I'm about to make, I'm also, I'm gonna just scroll that way, going to start making the green chicken chili for dinner. I think I'm going to stop recording in this fashion and explain why the camera angle's like this, and then I'll show you what I'm doing. Thank you for your patience. Also, this is what my hair looks like on a Saturday morning when I'm also trying to strip an old finish off of a table. Good times. We're gonna pause in the food prep because I wanna show you something real quick that I'm so frustrated with, and I think that's why I'm gonna be filming like this with my hand for a little bit, and that is my filming setup. Yes, that's right. And you can also see my incredibly messy cabinet right there. I'm trying to stick my phone in that ancient thing with an ancient ring light and use it to somehow show you my cooking surface. Now, I have to kind of like cantilever this with this because it's going to fall off because it is so cheap and poorly made. So I think for the duration of this video series, we're just gonna record like this. Thank you for your patience. All right, so like I said, I'm cooking the pierogies to go with lunch, and I have that giant onion here that I have actually determined I'm using for 3 meals. So the first part is the pierogies. I'm just gonna take this little bit that I sliced up, add it to the pierogi pan just to add a little bit more flavor and zhuzh to that. Here I have my magical Ninja multi-cooker here on sear and saute, and I'm going to somehow with one hand throw about 1/3 of a diced onion in there. See how this would be easier if I had a camera mount that worked? See that? Okay, so we're gonna get that in there in a minute. It's not all in there yet. And then I'm going to add the green chilies, the chicken, and some of the beans. Let's see how I can set this up so I can show you what that looks like eventually. So as the onions do their onion thing, there it is, and the pierogi, I'm thinking about the can of green chilies here that I'm using for the green chili chicken, and I have some concerns because I have never used these before, and that's part of budget shopping and trying new things is sometimes we have to figure out if what we got is a good idea. So let's put this right here. Oh, that works quite splendidly. And we're going to taste the chilies and see if we put this whole can in chili, if we will die. All right, right out of the can with a fork. Okay. They are not spicy at all. So they're a little bit spicy. So I am going to put this whole can in my chili along with the little tiny bit of leftover chicken that I did in my slow cooker earlier, and a whole bunch
of these now cooked beans that you saw me soak. I'm not going to use all these beans. I'm actually going to use the rest of them in a leftover recipe for lunch tomorrow that I'll show you. All right, I decided to just do it and shallow fry these. Also, at the same time, this is humming along. Let me just quick shake and show you. I figured instead of being a whole big cook, I would air fry the pre-seasoned chicken that I'm using for my chicken fried rice later this week, so that that's done since I'm doing all the cooking right now. The pierogies are done, the chicken's about to be fried, and the chili for dinner tonight is chillying. One last thing, if you have never shallow fried chicken before, I use as little oil as possible, but enough that the chicken doesn't touch the bottom when you put it in the pan. I have this on a little bit above medium, but I have an electric range, which is not ideal. And what you want to do is make sure that when you stick your chicken in, it bubbles. And I like to use the, let me find one, this one here, kind of the end to test it. This side here, let's see if it does it. Yes, see those bubbles? That means it is ready. The oil is hot enough to put that in there. I am not crazy enough to try to do all of this while filming it with one hand, so I'll be back once it's cooked. And that is a lunch. So this is yet another meal from the $20 that I spent at Grocery Outlet. I have 4 beautiful golden brown and delicious pieces of fake buttermilk soaked fried chicken, some pierogies sauteed in butter and onions, and I stole a little bit of the coleslaw mix that I'm going to use later in the week for a fried rice option, and I made a little vinaigrette out of just some vinegar and oil just to have some sort of vegetable for this pretty unhealthy lunch, but boy does it look good. Here's why I don't recommend doing this challenge consistently. Is this going to be delicious? Yup. Will I die if I eat like this every day? Probably sooner than I'd like. This next meal is going to be the absolute easiest. This is the chicken fried rice, and I am legitimately on my lunch break. I need to cook this, record it, eat it, and get back to work in about 40 minutes. So I have a wok. It's on an electric stove. We'll see how that goes. And I have, if you recall, the rice I prepped, the 5-spice chicken that I air fried, and then I just quick whisked together a stir fry sauce. This is just soy sauce and vinegar. If you have other things, that's great. Sometimes I like to add brown sugar. Oh wait, I'm sorry. There's also a few drops of sesame oil in there. Just a few drops. Very, very, very strong sesame oil. If you have other things like brown sugar or any kind of like orange jelly, that'd be great in there. But really, all you need to do is make sure that your sauce isn't just straight soy, because the amount of sauce you need to make this work, it'd be way too salty. So this is soy sauce and apple cider vinegar. And then the rest of this coleslaw bag, I used it for actual coleslaw early in the week with my fried chicken. And because I'm feeling fancy, some green onions. We'll see if one-handed wok cookery is a thing. I don't think it is, but we're gonna try. So we're just going to throw some oil in this wok that is not entirely olive oil. This is mostly sunflower oil. It has a higher smoke point, so it can get very, very hot and not burn. I recognize that that looks like a lot of oil. That's because it is. And we are going to add, we got the sizzle, the cabbage from the coleslaw mix. Here we have cabbage and carrots, which is the basis of really any quick fake stir fry or fake fried rice option. And then that's going to saute for a little bit, show you what it looks like when it's done. I wish I could do a time lapse here because you'll see this get much smaller, but I'm holding my phone as a way of recording it. So we're just gonna have to go from this to this. It is cooked down about halfway. It's not fully done yet, but that's okay. Time to add the chicken. I know this chicken is cooked, so we're just heating it up. I'm going to stir that around again, one-handed wok cookery. Not a thing on an electric stove, but here we are. And then we're just going to add a little bit more oil. Throw in the rice right there and top it with the sauce. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's done, because as you can see, that's what's happening with one hand.
And there you have it. Super quick lunchtime chicken fried rice. I'm gonna add a little bit of chili crisp and some additional green onions to mine. I don't know if you can tell like how insanely large this is. This is a lot of food. As one of my 5 meals that I got for $20. There's my portion, and there's everything that's left. I would say that's probably 3 portions for some very hungry people. I ended up transferring the chili to this not a slow cooker pot because I needed the lid to be off and for it to reduce a bit. And that's pretty much it. Chili, and it's going to be served with these previously roasted sweet potatoes. I'm not going to plate that up right now because this is real life and it needs to cook down a bit, and then I need to eat dinner. So that is what that meal looks like. Chili, sweet potatoes. I would argue that that is so much chili that I'll have enough to add to my freezer store of food and also have some leftovers for later this week. Maybe I'll put them in tortillas. This is 4 1-cup portions of that chili that's going to be frozen in these cubes. That's my dinner. It's going to be a quesadilla cooked in there. And this brings up a good point, which is that if you really needed to stretch this one meal, you could to a degree that's ridiculous. One person already ate 2 servings, and I have 4, which could really be 8 if I did this with it, left of that one dish. For the last meal of the week, this is all that we have left. Ignore that over there. It is maybe 1.5 cups of the chicken broth that I made, 4 pieces of chicken that had been previously frozen by me to keep them until the end of the week, a little bit more than half of a container of sour cream, half of an onion, and a bag of shells. And if you're looking at this and thinking, gosh, that isn't a lot to make a meal, that's because you were not raised by a first-generation Hungarian immigrant who lived through the Great Depression. We're gonna make chicken paprikash. And I know that it's said differently, I mentioned that earlier, but my Nana said paprikash, so that's how I'm pronouncing it. Here's what it looks like.
Paprikash is named after the spice paprika, as we say it in the United States now. So there is my chicken covered in paprika, and I'm simply boiling the shells. The pasta there that I chose, you can use any kind of pasta. Shells are more traditional, at least for my Nana. There they are cooked, and I have too many, so I put some aside. And my dog would really like some, but she can't have any. She just got fixed. That's why she's wearing the pant leg on her belly. Next, we dice up the rest of that 1/4 of an onion, and we're just frying up the last 4 pieces of chicken in the pan there. Those are the ones that had the paprika on them. We're just going to add the onions to the pan, get those nice and brown and a little bit soft before we add the rest of that stock that I made. See why that stock is just super important to have on hand. And you can see that's actually really delicious, kind of bone broth with the thickness there of that stock. Once that cooks to the point where the chicken gets all fall aparty, it is time to add the pasta and the sour cream. Sour cream is required in this dish. It is what makes it creamy, and I would not necessarily recommend adding in regular cream. Sour cream gets nice and melty like that. I did cook it down a little bit more until it came together and added a bit of parsley on top, and it's time to enjoy Nana's paprikash.
Well, what do you think? How did I do with my $20 grocery outlet budget? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks for watching.